This video recording is for week 8 and deals with the letter to the editor. I'd like you to write as if you lived in Manassas, Virginia, in the movie documentary 9500 Liberty. Now, this isn't a long assignment, but it's a very thought-filled assignment. The issue here is I want to make sure that you think carefully, because if you were an educator in that community and you were going to write a letter to the editor, you could get fired if you wrote irresponsible things, or at least you're probably not going to get a big pat on the back from most of the people. So this is a very political thing, no matter how heartfelt or how sincere you are. I mean, you have to decide, do you want to be a martyr or not? You have some individuals in here, and I did mention in there, I want you to look in those 3 rows and write about, mention people in at least one person or group in each of those 3 rows. The first 3 are Greg Latique, strange name, Corey Stewart, and I think the other one was Martin Nohe. These persons will identify as politically conservative, but of course some of the other people could be too. It's just that, and I've given you some background on them here. So I would like you to go through those, especially on Greg and Corey, but also on Elena Schlossberg. There's an article about her. I don't have anything on the old guy. Don't know if he's still around or not. Probably didn't change a lot. Anna Alameda, have Alana Alameda, and Colonel Dean has retired, but you get a lot about him in the movie. Then the videographers, Annabelle Park and Eric Byler, they're partners in life and in business, making movies. He's Chinese American and she's Korean American, I guess you'd say. And then the children of Manassas, which I think is the group that we don't have much detail on, but we know there are a lot of them. Some of them left, some of them stayed, and a lot of other players in the community that are not included. So when you write this, you have to think about, and I give some suggestions. I don't want to dictate to you a position you have to take, but I mean, if you think Greg is the best guy here, then probably you and I don't have a lot in common, and you're going to be looking at multicultural education and immigration and everything from a really different viewpoint. But you know, academic freedom, you have the freedom to take any position you want. You don't have to be popular with me or anybody else. But you should be able to defend your position. So that I just want to make you aware of that. A couple of interesting ones to me are actually the other guys on the city council. And I was very impressed with the police chief. And maybe Gaudencio, which I tried to look him up, but he doesn't have a presence on the web. Gaudencio, who did I think he's on here. No, there he is. Number 4. He's the guy who did the protest wall, which is where the movie is from, the address 9500 Liberty. So he is a man that does rallies the Hispanics and put up a wall complaining about how people are treated. The 2 community community members, number 5 and 6, Alana and Elena, I think it's Elena, are very important because they're not typical. You know, they actually, I've seen some things of Alana, and I believe she has worked with different people on the council on other issues. So she's kind of a middle of the roader trying to help. And that's what I think is important here, are individuals that maintain an openness to working with everyone. You can tell some of my opinions from what I've said and how I've researched this, but I tried to give a fair, and I did get some of Corey Stewart and Greg's blogs and things. These are things they put on the internet, so they're not, this is not some kind of secret information or false information. And they are, of course, subject to criticism. Corey Stewart might become senator from Virginia. Who knows? He just missed getting the governor nomination. And he's pretty strong in the Tea Party. So this is kind of experimental, but that's what I'm trying to do in this class, is give you assignments that are not just read out of the book and find the answers, because we're graduate students. I mean, I want you to be able to think what you need to do in these situations. That's why I said refer to the cultural awareness sensitivity document to see not only what's going on, but actually it talks about what do you do in this situation. There is some information about things you should try. It doesn't say go out and call Greg a Nazi or call the police chief a traitor, or call any of the people in town, call them names and basically declare war on them politically. Because we're thinking community here, and community means you don't give up on it. So that's why I designed this assignment. I've interrupted the syllabus because I want us to take some time here. I don't want you just to do this class and say, well, I learned something about Filipinos and Hawaiians and Native Americans and Central Americans. I'm not interested in you just getting some information, bits of information you can pick up from the internet almost any time. But skills, that's another thing. Now, I do have one other, this would only be for those of you interested, but I could share this. I do have a type of activity that's very involved with the community. Starts out very neutral. In other words, it doesn't start out with a petition to do something. It's called community circles, and it's called study circles actually, but it's something I can reveal to you if any of you are interested in this. I don't want to give up 2 weeks of the class, but I can provide this information. And what it is, it's a method for basically doing interviews and talks in a very civil way with very different types of people in the community to try to reach a determination on what are some things that they feel need to be done, for instance, in the schools. Could be something else, but you could use this at any organization. But it basically involves training young people to be monitors and moderators, so that you get people of different age groups, older, younger, different ethnic groups, different people, and you bring them together and they just talk, and then you just chart their concerns. And you have certain questions, but the questions are not meant to lead to a certain particular solution for anything, but just it might even be that you simply try to identify key problems in the community. And I did this once. We called it study circles at the time. I think they're trying something else that has a different name. But it was quite involved, took several weeks, but it actually used high school kids as especially bilingual ones, that would help to work with people that didn't speak, English, spoke different languages. And what I liked most about it was that we did not the superintendents, the mayor, city council people, some local businessmen. They had their say, but they didn't get to dominate. And a person who is a stay-at-home mother of 5 who is from Guatemala, who doesn't speak any English, she has just as much say as anybody else. What I found really interesting in it is that, and this was many years ago, we did this in Lexington, is that some of the big, so-called big shots, they don't hang around very long if they don't get to dominate the conversation. It was really interesting. You learn what kind of leaders you have in a community. Some of the people, like the superintendent at the time, it's been several superintendents ago, the guy talked, and then as soon as he realized it wasn't about him, he kind of just disappeared. So we really had to work hard to get different people to show up, and we had to get some money for some goodies and to attract them. But we got different study groups, and they met at different times, in smaller groups, of course. And they came up with some ideas. One of those was a homework hotline for the school, where teachers would actually record the homework for their room, and then it would be recorded in Spanish, so a person could call a number and they'd get the homework, what's going to be done that week. I don't know if that persisted, because that was kind of awkward at the time. But that was right before internet was big, and so you didn't have internet. Now, of course, we have all kinds of greater technological advantages to spread the word to people. And most people have at least a cell phone where they could hear or see the assignments. And Lex has gotten more speakers from other refugees from Africa, so we have a lot of diversity there in language. I found it the most refreshing thing, because several students that participated were very good, taught leadership skills for high school kids. That's very impressive. I mean, there's no way around that. That's such an impressive thing. Okay, now the other part I want to share with you, well, I wanted to mention a couple of people from this list. I'd forgotten to. The videographer, and the producer, Annabelle Park and Eric Byler. They had an intimate part in dealing with this, because they were actually posting things online, clips and stuff about what was going on. And this was actually impacting the events in city council and some of the conflicts. So that if someone was doing something and saying things that were very controversial, whatever they were, that person was not able to remain secret. I mean, there's stuff, if they went out in front of the city council and made a speech, they had to own it on the internet. You know how that can get, you can get really attacked that way. But that was how the old man, I'm sure he didn't have a way of being attacked, because he probably didn't have internet or anything else. But he would be a person that might be attacked. And you have to be aware of that if you ever did something like this, where you actually participated in the event as it's occurring and you're actually impacting it. But this is why the documentary was so effective, because it wasn't after the fact with witnesses who tried to recall what happened. It actually recorded the conflict in the flow, in the stream of it. Okay, well, that's about it. I just wanted to share that with you, my views, and I look forward to reading those letters to the editor. I fixed it so you cannot read anybody else's and then kind of copy it. You have to do your own first, which I think is kind of cool. That way you get, you know, when I grade things like this, I'm looking to help people. I'm not looking to say, oh, you didn't write as nice a letter, so-and-so, you get 10 points off. I just want to know that you made every effort on the assignment, and your sincerity, and I may have, if I see someone who doesn't have very good shot at it, I may work with you and we'll redo them. because writing a letter to the editor might be something so new to you, you'd be nervous about it. What do you say? What do you do? And so I'm also working, try to finish up the papers from the other week. All Blackboards are graded and reviewed carefully, but papers take a little longer. So, and what I'm going to do is email you my responses to the paper. I was going to write on the papers and then send them to you by a machine, a copy machine that would send it as an email. That's going to take forever to do 50 of those because they have to unstaple them, run them through the machine, send them to me. Then I have to make sure I got the right person. And I'd rather just respond right off the sheet. So I'm going to do that and send you a paragraph or so. Not a long paragraph, but just responding to your papers. They're really interesting. It's the first time I've assigned something quite like that, but I've learned so much just about small towns I know nothing about. There's a couple of them, the turkey farm in northeast Nebraska. What a fascinating story, businesses and friendships and travel. It's like the it's like the map, cultural map, but it's a lot more detailed, obviously, because it's not photographs or prints or collages, but it's actual just writing about it. Okay, I'm going to get off now. It's 3 o'clock and the Stooges are interrupting me.